What's up, everybody? This is Coach MJ coming to you live with another amazing training broadcast. I hope you're having a fabulous week so far and that you are being productive, but that you are also balanced and moving towards living your best life. Today, we're going to be talking about a topic that anybody who's never been a coach, and even some people who are a coach in some space, is going to be thinking about in their mind as they try to figure out what is it that they have to offer to bring to the marketplace. So many women, so many Black women, but people in general think, I don't have anything of value to offer that I could actually support myself for a living teaching people. And that's just not true. Today, we're going to be talking about 9 questions that you can ask yourself as you're attempting to figure out what your magical niche is that you can coach in. Because no matter what you are an expert in, what you're interested in, what you're passionate about, however you want to word it, no matter what that is, there is a way that you can frame that expertise, that knowledge, those skills, that background in a way where there is somebody out there who wants that knowledge, that expertise that you have, and you can frame it in a coaching program. But you have to know how to look at what it is that you know from a different perspective. And so we're going to be talking about 9 questions, give or take. It could be 9, it might grow to 10 while we're talking here, but that you need to ask yourself as you are trying to figure out your niche. Because here's what's true. People go to coaches to solve problems, whether it is a physical fitness coach, whether it's a relationship coach, whether it is a sports coach, basketball, football. They go there because they have an issue that they don't know how to resolve on their own. And the coach has already been where they are and has gone to where they want to go and knows how to get them there. For those of you who are athletes, having a coach is not an unusual thing for you, right? In every sport you were in, whether it was a team sport or whether it was an individual sport, maybe like more martial arts and things of that nature, you still had somebody who was beyond you, who was guiding you through the process of getting the skill level that you wanted to get to. But often people who are not from a sporting or physical fitness world struggle with understanding the value of having a coach. And because of that, they also struggle. You might also be struggling to figure out, what is my niche? What would I focus on as a coach? Maybe you know a lot about a lot of different things. Maybe you feel like you don't know enough about anything, but I guarantee you, if it is your dream to create a flexible coaching business that allows you to travel the world and create a lifestyle of your dreams, because you can work from anywhere in the world and you have a leveraged business model that takes up less and less of your time, then coaching might be your path. So let's get into this, okay? The first question that you want to ask yourself is a really obvious one, right? So I'm going to start with that one. What problem or pain do you solve? You got 2 P's in that one. What problem or pain do you solve? So when you think in terms of what it is that you do, let's take, for example, the job you have. What you do for your employer, they don't pay you because if you are what was my job description before? A data analyst. They didn't pay me because I was good at Excel spreadsheets and knowing some of those deeper features that a lot of people don't know and working it out. They did not pay me to do that job because I was good at spreadsheets. They paid me to do that job because I was good at helping them to figure out complex problems with their metrics that they did not know how to resolve, that they did not have real numbers for or the answers for. I was able to get into the data and bring them reports that help them to make decisions that move the business forward, decisions that help them to avoid minefields that could have potentially disrupted the business. They paid me to help them solve a problem, not for the skill that I have. And so you as a coach, when you are trying to figure out what your magical niche is, the one that's going to have clients flooding through your doors, begging to work with you, is you're going to have to look at it from their perspective. They don't care. You've heard the expression, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Your clients don't give a rat's patootie how much you know about a topic, except from their perspective. What does this have to do with me? What's in it for me? What can you do, coach, with that information to help me? That's how clients look at it. And so you want to look at your knowledge base, not from the perspective of, oh, I know how to, I don't know. I'm just going to use an example that I can come up with off the top of my head, which is cooking. I know how to cook. And so maybe I've never heard of a cooking coach, but just go with me. It's what I came up with off the top of my dome. There might be cooking coaches out there, right? Or nutrition coaches, right? And they're already, and that's how my mind works. I'm already going to the solution, right? Let me turn my fan on before I start sweating in here. So a person that knows how to cook, well, nobody's going to pay you because you know how to cook. They don't care what you know. They will pay you because they are having health issues, or they're trying to preempt health issues that are coming by beginning to eat better now. Maybe they see their weight ballooning out of control. Maybe they have some lifestyle illnesses. Maybe they're diabetic. Maybe they have high blood pressure. Maybe, any number of things. And so they come to you, not because, oh, you can show me how to cook, but because that you are helping them to solve the pain of going deeper into these illnesses that could eventually damage or take their lives completely. You are helping them solve the problem of potentially not being able to be there for their grandkids or for their daughter's wedding to walk her down the aisle or whatever. That's how you have to start thinking about it. What does my ability, my knowledge, in this example, knowing how to cook nutritious foods, what does that ability, what problem or pain does that solve for another person? There's any number of problems or pains that what you know can resolve, but you have to look at it from your customer's standpoint. That's what some of our other questions are going to get into today. What paralysis do you notice that people around you are experiencing? And so obviously, when I say paralysis in this example, I'm not talking about physical paralysis necessarily. I'm talking about just the inability to move or take action. They are stuck, right? That's what paralysis is. A person who is stuck in a situation and can't get out. Where do you see people struggling? What is it? And maybe you got to remember this. What ends up being your coaching niche may or may not be related to what you do for a living every day. Maybe that industry you're trying to get out of. So the paralysis that you see, a lot of times what ends up being somebody's coaching niche is the very thing that they are not doing for a living, because you see it as a hobby. You see it as just a passion, something I do on the side. Start looking at those things and saying, what paralysis or what struggle, where are people stuck where I could help them get unstuck? Because let's face it, when you are stuck and you're not moving forward, time is being wasted. Often money is being wasted. Energy is being wasted. Opportunities are being squandered while you are stuck. Being stuck is so difficult because it's difficult for people to measure what it really costs you when you're not moving forward. But every opportunity, every money you could be making, every day that could be better for you because you're living a better life, every moment you could spend with your spouse because your relationship is better, all of those things is what it's costing you when you are stuck. So look around you. Think about, what is something that I see people stuck or struggling with that I can help them with? Guess what? It doesn't even have to be something that you have as a hobby or as a side passion. It just might be something that you are deeply educated in. And again, anything that you know that the people around you don't know but want to know or experience makes you an expert. It could be something you might have just learned about it on the internet yourself because you did research when it was of interest to you. Don't discount that because it was easy for you to get the information. It's a little sidebar, but I'm going to help somebody today. Don't discount how easy, whatever it is that you know, because it was easy for you to get it. Yeah, you just Googled it. Yeah, you just took a quick class. Anybody can go on YouTube. But guess what? Everybody's not doing that. So to the extent that you did do that and you spent those hours and you got that expertise, it is monetizable in this marketplace because there's a whole lot of people who can't or won't do what you've done to get that level of expertise. It could be something that you've learned over the course of being in your career. And it may not be directly related to what you're doing every day at the job, but it could be related to the education, related to how you got to your position. It could be related to some things, some mistakes that people make along the way while they're moving through the career path that you have already succeeded in, and you can help them to avoid those minefields. Where do you see people getting stuck that you can help them to get unstuck? That is a key to zeroing in on your magical niche. Another question you can ask yourself, what are some unforeseen pitfalls that you can help somebody avoid? I just kind of alluded to that a moment ago. So sometimes it's about helping people to not make mistakes as opposed to, and it's kind of all intertwined, yes, but sometimes the perspective you need to come from is, what can I do to keep somebody from making a mistake or getting stuck? So maybe, again, this is preemptive. This is before they fall into the trap. This is before they make the mistake. You've already figured out the way out, or maybe you never got stuck in the trap. That makes you an expert as well, because you never got stuck, but you see people coming close to where you got, and then they fall off. What pitfalls can you help people in the future avoid so they don't miss out on their opportunities? So start looking at what you do or what you know from the perspective of places where people can get hung up, issues that they can create because they zing when they should have zanged. I just made those words up, but they yinged when they should have yanged, right? That happens. And sometimes you and it's happened to all of us. Sometimes you click on a link and you didn't know you shouldn't click on that link, or you buy something from a certain store and then you find out, oh man, I wish I'd talked to you. I could have told you, don't ever go in that store because them people are crazy. That's coaching that somebody's giving you, but it's too late because you've already made the mistake. So now that you've learned in that example, don't click on that link, don't go in that store, or whatever the thing is that you've learned. Now you can help other people to avoid it. And depending on what it would cost them if they went ahead and made that mistake, that's how much it's worth to them to work with you and not make that mistake. Your magical niche, you don't realize you're sitting on a gold mine, probably in several niches, and you don't even know it. But ask yourself these questions. What unforeseen pitfalls can you help somebody to avoid? And then the next one, and these next questions are kind of not from the customer perspective, but this is just from you and how you look out into the world. So another one is, what issue provokes you to anger or makes you sad almost immediately? What is something that you can see in your news feed? Maybe it's something that you hear somebody talking about, or you see it depicted in a movie, or you read about it in a book. Somebody tells you about it, or that somebody did this thing and you just get so mad, or you get sad because you see people struggling with something. You're like, that's not the way. Guess what? And I've heard this said before, whenever something strikes you and keeps coming up in your life and keeps sticking in your craw and keeps being presented to you, and you keep hearing more and more about it, and you have a solution, that is often God's way of telling you you're supposed to be the one to solve it. So don't ignore those things and keep saying, well, somebody else will do it. Oh, well, somebody else will fix it. No. Sometimes that is the key. I would say almost always, when something keeps bothering you, that means you're supposed to fix it. Maybe it's your calling to bring your solution to that on a major scale. Don't just solve it for yourself and the few people in your family who are struggling with that thing. You are probably being called to solve it for the masses, that thing that drives you up a wall. Every time you see somebody talking about it, you see another video and you're like, why are those people doing that? They look ridiculous. Why don't they carry themselves a different way? So now I'm kind of picturing something in my mind of, maybe it's, you see young ladies, I'm going to say it, out and about with bonnets on and house shoes and pajamas in places where you feel like they should be carrying themselves differently. I'm not saying that's good or bad. Personally, I don't like seeing it, but that's not something that's not a hill that I die on, right? I'm not willing to die on that hill. But other people, it drives you crazy. Maybe it means you need to be coaching young ladies on the grace, being graceful and poised and carrying themselves with dignity and elegance. If it keeps bothering you, that could be your magical niche to provide a solution, because it drives you crazy every time you see it. Don't ignore those things that drive you nuts. Don't keep waiting for somebody else. Why don't their parents tell them? Why don't the school system tell them? Why don't the church tell them? Why don't the government tell them? Why don't you tell them and create a 6 to 8 week program and walk them through that and get paid very well for it, so that you can build wealth while you travel? But we're going to talk about that in a minute. So what issue provokes you to anger or sadness almost immediately every time you hear about it? Another question you can ask yourself as you are trying to zero in on your magical niche is, what challenge or question have you pondered for years? Like, what is something that you put a lot of thought into? You think about this issue or this situation a lot because it interests you. Maybe you've done a lot of research on it just on your own time. Maybe it was a problem you were solving for yourself, or maybe it's just something where you're like, this is a really huge thing. Why is this such a major issue? And you've pondered it and you finally come up with what you believe to be the answer or an answer. Well, we are not blessed with ideas and creativity just to keep it to ourselves. We were created to be creators, and we are supposed to create solutions to help other people as well as to help ourselves. And so maybe it's something that you have done a lot of research on. You've thought about it a lot through the years. That could be a key to what your magic could be as a coach. It really could be, because you've spent so many hours reading about it because it was so interesting to you. And now you have a body of knowledge. I think a lot of times when we are good at a thing, we take for granted either that other people are that good at it, or at least almost as good at it. We just take for granted that it's not that big of a deal. And that is another kind of clue to what your magical niche could be, is what is that thing that you take for granted that's easy for you? It just comes naturally. Like for me, one of the things that comes naturally for me is organization, and being organized and looking at chaotic situations and immediately being able to bring order to them. And so until I kind of learned that, okay, your magic is not other people's magic, I would get frustrated because it's like, is it that hard to put stuff up? My kids can tell you, is it that hard to put that away? I gave you a storage bin. I gave you things with which to organize yourselves. Why are you not organized? And what I've had to realize after years of badgering them and other people, that's just not their thing. They have a great skill set that I don't have, right? So you also have something that comes naturally to you that you can't take for granted, comes naturally to other people. And because it comes naturally to you, you take it for granted. You need to stop taking it for granted and realize other people need your help getting there, and become a coach and let that be your niche. Okay. So that's, what did I just say? Okay. What challenge or question have you pondered for years? And this is kind of related to it. What topic or challenge preoccupies your mind whenever you hear about it? So this is something where whenever somebody brings it up, you instantly start thinking about, like, somebody, I'm just trying to think off the top. There are topics that I can be talking about with my friends, and as soon as they bring the topic up, I'm gone to the races. If I start talking about the challenges of single parents, or if I start talking about gospel music or some of the other things that I'm really passionate about, I can go on and on and on. And I'm preoccupied with it, at least for those moments, because it's something that kind of matters to me, even if it's something that's not serious. Because what I want to point out to you is that it's not always about it being necessarily a super negative situation that people still need to come out of. Like, you can coach people on just about anything, because no matter what it is, there is a downside to it. Even if on the surface, it seems like, well, it's not that bad. Why would somebody pay me big money to coach them through that? There's always, always, always a downside. There is always a negative that you might not see until you dig beneath the surface. The bottom line is, it's not a problem if there's not a negative downside to it that's really costing you something if you don't resolve it. So always remember that. If you're taking notes, write that down. There's always a negative downside. There's nothing that people deal with. I would say almost everything that human beings deal with in our interactions with one another has a downside that's costly, or that can balloon into a costly situation if we don't solve it. And that's why they need solutions. All these companies out here that have these high rises, they are in those buildings because they're solving problems, because there are issues that need to be resolved. You might not think of having extra life insurance as an issue, but your family will after you're gone if you don't have it. That's why they have insurance companies. It's an endless number of things. No matter what store you can name or what business you can name, they are solving problems. They are helping people to get out of situations. And that's what you have to look at as a coach when you're thinking about what area of expertise you're going to focus on. Another question you can ask yourself is, what are you known for as the expert in your profession? So now we're talking again about where you work. Maybe it's something that you do every day. Maybe it's something that only on special occasions or for certain things, certain times of the year, certain times of the month that they come to you. They're like, okay, go get Cheryl for that. Go get Pauline to do that because she's good at that. Okay, but that's not necessarily a regular part of your job, or even if it is, what is that thing? So maybe you're sick of the job, or you're ready to pivot out of your job in its regular form, but there might be some small piece of it that you are really good at, that you do enjoy. And you think, if I leave this job, I've got to leave behind that thing. In the Build Wealth While You Travel Challenge, I can show you, we will be unpacking how you can take that little thing from your job that you think you can only do when you work for that company, and build it out into a coaching program that you operate independently, and you find all the people who need that expertise in their lives, because they are out there. If you know how to market and you know how to find them and niche down on your customer, there are people who need it. They wouldn't have you doing it at work if it was, there's very few things that are isolated to one small company. The world is too interconnected for that. There's other people who need that. So what are you known for in your profession that you could possibly do on your own? Now, I don't want you to worry about not being able to figure out how to do it, right? That's what the challenge is for. I keep pointing the wrong way because the camera's flipped around. That's what this challenge is. I keep doing it. That's what this Build Wealth While You Travel Challenge is for. We're going to show you how to package your expertise so that someone would want to pay you a premium price to resolve it, and how to find your customers and things of that nature. Just know, all I need you to know is what your area of expertise is that you are interested in resolving for somebody, okay? Or resolving a problem for somebody. Okay, we're coming down to the last couple of questions that you can ask yourself to zero in on your magical expertise. And the next one is, what unique perspective do you bring to solving that problem? So that's a little bit different. So now we're saying you solve a problem, but there are very few problems in the world that aren't being solved already by somebody, somewhere. They're not, everybody who has the problem is not necessarily getting it solved for them, but it's being solved somewhere. There's nothing new under the sun. However, what is the unique perspective that you bring to solving the problem? Because I guarantee you might not realize what it is, but it's there. There is a unique perspective that you bring to resolving that problem. And it's not, when I say unique perspective, obviously you are unique. So you being the coach, you being the expert, you being the leader, obviously makes it unique. But ultimately, your voice, your style, that's going to affect how your solution is brought. But I'm talking about, what is your way of solving this problem, of avoiding these pitfalls and all of this, that you've at least never encountered anybody else doing it this way. So, I'm thinking about, and you can't see it, but my curtains are hanging from some rods that don't have to be drilled into the wall. The little hardware doesn't go into the wall. It goes into the top of the trim around the window. So it works if you have trim around your window. If you don't, you can't use these. When I saw them on a Facebook ad a few years ago, I immediately was blown away. I didn't care how much they cost. I had to have them because one of the reasons I never hung curtains before was because I was scared to drill into the wall. What if I drilled it the wrong hole? What if I messed it up? I just didn't do it, right? And I would use other types of rods. When I saw that I could tap these down to the top of the trim and make it super easy, that was awesome. I had never thought about having that type of solution because I'm not in that particular industry looking for solutions. And even though that's not a coaching example, that's an example of a unique perspective that company brought with their patented product. Every other curtain rod hardware manufacturer still has you going into the walls because I think they have a patent on this design. It's a unique perspective. They said, not just the walls, what else is here? Oh, this trim that's at least a 1/2 inch deep. Yeah, you can put something in there. And then you don't have to worry about holes in the wall. You also can be that unique perspective. You also can be the tap the hardware into the trim instead of the wall type of solution as a coach. Because I guarantee no matter what it is, if you've never seen it, then it's meant for you to do it. It might be somewhere on the globe that somebody's doing it, and it might not be. There's still room for complete uniqueness in this world. And even if there is somebody out there, if you haven't encountered them and your target market has not encountered them, it doesn't matter if it's out there. There are 8 billion people, or almost 8 billion people on this planet. Could it be that there are thousands of them out there waiting for your solution that will never see somebody else's solution? Or if they go with somebody else's solution, they will be displeased because it won't be as good as yours. Of course. And that's what you're looking for. So what unique perspective do you bring to solving the problem that you've never encountered? And a lot of times it comes from your experience with the problem you solve or the pitfall that you help to avoid. When you were looking for a solution, none of the solutions that were out there were good enough. And that's why you came up with what you came up with. There's other people out there looking for answers as well that wonder where the answer is. And you are that answer because you have a unique perspective. And then finally, the last one, I think I added another one, but what process do you use to solve it? Now, this is where we start getting into how you package what it is that you do so that you can present it to the marketplace. But starting to think about what are the things I do, it actually kind of taps into the unique perspective that you have on it, is what are the unique things that I do to solve the problem? Because thinking about how you solve the problem or how you avoid those pitfalls will help you to see. It could help you to find a deeper niche. Actually, it can help you to find so there's niche, there's general, then there's specific. You start to niche down further and further. You can have a niche within a niche. If you really start to think about what process do I use to solve it, it could be one of the steps in that process. You can go wider with or deeper with and create a massively transformational coaching program just on that because of how you solve the overarching problem in a very unique way. There are so many things that you can do to get deep into your magical niche and create this lifestyle of freedom for yourself because you'll be in demand. You won't be able to stop people from jumping into your coaching programs and tapping into your uniqueness and your magic. You won't be able to, they'll be beating down your door because you're bringing something different to the marketplace. But that 10th one that just popped into my mind of how you can zero in on your magical niche is just your purpose. And a lot of times people don't know what their purpose is. And we're going to get into a little of that during the Build Wealth While You Travel Challenge, which kicks off September 27th. So you need to get your VIP ticket today because we expect seats to go fast. But anyway, knowing what your purpose is, why you are here, that thing that you are meant to do, when you are walking in your purpose, you don't work anymore. When you're walking in your purpose, you can spend 12 hours working on something. I do it all the time. And the time just flies and it doesn't feel like work. Whereas those same 12 hours spent on something not my purpose can be a drudgery. I'm distracted. I want to turn the TV on. I want to stop. I want to find all the things. I want to go to the refrigerator. I want to do all the stuff. When you are operating in your area of giftedness and purpose, you'll never work another day in your life. And things will open up for you that will make your business and your personal life simpler and simpler, easier and easier. Will you be completely devoid of problems? Of course not. That's not life. But you can avoid the problems of not having enough money or time to live the way you want to and move freely in the world, which is what so many people come to entrepreneurship for. And then often get into the wrong type of business and realize that all they did was bought a business that now owns them, or bought a job, right? Some people make that mistake. But as an in-demand, high ticket coach, where you've got customers beating down your doors and you have a leverage model that allows you to work from anywhere in the world, things are going to get simpler and easier for you the further and further you get into what it is that you want to do. But you first have to figure out, what's your magical area of expertise? What is that niche that you are uniquely designed to solve problems and avoid pitfalls within? And once you figure that out, the sky's the limit. Whatever you charge, they'll pay. Wherever you go, they will follow you, because you are the person providing answers for them when nobody else could. And so if you are ready, sis, to take your life, your business, or even if you don't have a business already, you be brand new, but you're ready to take it to the next level. Cut yourself free from that chain that's tethering you to your job and to the money that they say you're worth. And you're ready to live a life of freedom, purpose, flexibility, and unlimited access to travel and whatever it is that you want to do in life. Then I invite you to join the Build Wealth While You Travel Challenge, kicking off in just a few days. Get you a VIP ticket. You're about to level up your life. You may as well just start leveling up from day one and saying, I want to squeeze everything I can out of this experience. Go to buildwealthwhileyoutravel.com. Grab your ticket. We do have a basic economy ticket as well. You're welcome to get that. But the serious people, the people that are ready to zoom and move much more quickly than they could if they did it on their own, that's who's going to want the VIP ticket. And I bet if you're still watching this video, you are a VIP person because you wanted to get everything you could out of this training. So you want to get everything you can out of the challenge as well. It's going to be 5 days of mind-blowing training. We'll be together, depending on which kind of ticket you get, we'll be together 1 or 2 hours a day. No worries if your schedule won't let you come on at the scheduled time. There will be recordings available so you can watch them after work or first thing in the morning. So you can stay caught up with what we're going to be learning. It's going to be power-packed. It's going to be intense. It's going to be a very intensive experience. But we're going to take you from A to Z, from, again, figuring out what your area of expertise is that you want to coach, and then figuring out who needs that solution right now, and then figuring out how to package it so that it is something that you can present in a leveraged way that doesn't create more work for you, but creates less work. And then we're going to unpack how to promote it to the marketplace and market it so that you can find the people who need it, get your message right in front of them at the moment that they need it so that they will come to you and buy, and then show you how to have a delivery model that, again, gives you more and more of the total freedom that you want. But it starts with you joining the Build Wealth While You Travel Challenge starting next week. Join at buildwealthwhileyoutravel.com. We're going to be starting in just a few days. Go ahead and get your ticket, and I hope to meet you over there in the challenge. Life is not going to let up. And the good thing about having a leveraged business model, you can work from anywhere in the world, is that the pandemic doesn't affect it as much. If you work from home, if you work from a hotel room, an Airbnb, a plane, a family member's home, or the beach, anywhere with internet, if you're doing that, your business doesn't have to stop because the pandemic or any other limitations come. You can continue doing what you're doing, spreading your gifts all around the world and all around this country, because you know how to leverage and monetize your expertise in a very flexible and dynamic way. So buildwealthwhileyoutravel.com. Get over there now, grab your ticket, get into the challenge, and we will meet soon. I look forward to meeting each and every one of you when you join the challenge. I'll be back again tomorrow with another training broadcast. I hope you have a phenomenal rest of your evening, and we'll chat soon. Take care.